Okay, we're up to Chav Tes Amid Base. Chav Tes Amid Base. And we're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about 14 lines in the bottom, 10 Rabbanan. So we said that a person, the mitzvahs that a father has to do to a son, we said he has to go ahead and mal him. He has to be paid to him. He has to teach him Torah, and he has to marry him off. L'umay Torah v'lisa isha. L'umay Torah, which comes first? V'yakach yisisha. First you should learn, then get married. Then you have shaloi, below yisha. If you need to get married, then yisisha. V'yakach l'umay Torah. Amar Yehuda Mishmuel. Halacha noisi isha. A person should first get married. V'yakach l'umay Torah. Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan Amar Rechayim Mitzavarei. He has a mill on its neck. He has the oil of Parnasa. V'yasik b'Torah. So l'chara, Rabbi Yochanan is disagreeing. V'lei pligi ha lon ha lahu. So you have machlokes who it's going on. According to Rashi, ha lon is Bavel and ha lahu is Bnei Eretz Yisrael. So we should in Bavel we get married. We learn first and then we get married. And Eretz Yisrael first you get married then you learn. And Taisus learns the opposite. In Eretz Yisrael you would first learn and in Bavel you get married first. Mishtabech Rav Chisda Rav Huna b'the Rav Hamnuna. Rav Chisda was b'mishameach to Rav Huna b'the Rav Hamnuna the Adam Gadol. He was saying that Rav Hamnuna was an Adam Gadol. You might remember we met Rav Hamnuna with the Sabe the Zanunya. He asked him a question. He didn't know the answer, and he came back to Rav Chisda. He said that Gemara a few days ago. Right? You know what I'm talking about? No. Well, yeah, this Masech, the Sabe the Zanunya. We met these people. Yeah, but I don't remember the question. I don't remember the question he asked them. That's the problem. Okay. Anyway, so he said that the Adam God, you said Rav Karnuna, the Hamnuna, they call him Karnuna, right? The Adam God who. So Amalei, so Rav Huna told Rav Chisda, Kishayabai liyadcha, when Rav Hamnuna comes to you, have you liyadi, bring it to me. He asked her when Rav Hamnuna came, Chazi delay paris sudra. So he saw that he was not I guess Rav Huna saw that Rav Hamnuna was not wearing a sudr. He wasn't wearing he wasn't wearing a turban. Amalei, so Rav Huna said to him, my time alay priestess sudra. What's the reason you have priestess sudra? Amalei. So Rav Huna told him, Deloina sivna. I'm not married. So Hadruila ape mine. Rav Huna turned away from Rav Hamnuna, and Amalei and Rav Huna said, Chazi delay chazi lapi adinasu. See that you don't go ahead what and see me again until you get married. I saw this is the makar for putting on a talus, right? This is the makar for a married person putting on a talus, right? The sudra, right? Anyway, Rav Huna the Tamei, Rav Huna who said Rav Huna Hamnuna should not come until he's married. Damar ben esim shon of loynos isha. If he's 20 years old and he's not married, kol yom of ba'avera. Right? Where ba'avera sakadaitik doesn't say he didn't avera. Alema kol yom of bihira avera. He's speaking about avera. So man should get married. Shouldn't have hihurim. Amarava b'cheitan Rabbi Yishmael at chav shana Yoshev Kadosh Baruch Hu mitzapel Adam atay yisa isha. Until 20 years, Kadosh Baruch Hu is waiting when the person gets married. Kivin shagia chaf. Once he reaches 20, nasa and he doesn't get married. Amar Aimer tipach atzmoisav, that his atzmoisav, his bones should swell up if he's not married by 20. I saw a beautiful marsha. We're going to see a Gemara on the Amid base. Quoting Gemara needed Aflamed Aleph. Shleisha Shutim Ba'adam. There are 3 partners in the formation of man. That a man, a woman, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So a man gives the white parts to the person, including the bones, and a woman gives the red parts, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu gives the neshama. So the purpose of getting married is to procreate and have more children, right? So what blows up if you don't get married? The white part that you would have gone ahead had you fathered a child, and you would have created the child. So therefore, dafka, it's pipach atzmoisav. That's why it's the punishment, because the lubin, the white part of Kadosh Baruch of a man, creates the bones. Amrav Kista, hayda difne mechavre. That I was more adaf in learning than my peers. Than a sivna b'shitza, because I got married at 16. If you have nesivna b'abisa, and if I would have got married at 14, I would have been able to tell the Sutton, literally an arrow in your eye, which means that you would not be able to go ahead and get me to do an avera. As long as your hand is on the tzavar of your son. Rashi says, that your hand is strong in your son, before he grows up, and he won't be makabel your teichacha. His ishi should marry him off. In other words, under your control, at some point in time, a child goes on his own independent, but while he's tachas yotchi, he's listening to you, you should marry him off. And then when it's that time, it's shitzer at esem v'tati from 16 until 22. V'imila others say mitam yisari at esem v'arba 18 to 24. Kitanoi, it's machlekes tanoim, whether you're tachas yotchi at 16 to 22 or 18 to 24.
Not in the old days, not today.
Yeah, not to no, not it's not to.
You notice that the younger teenage years, he's not considered tachas yotzar.
No. Kit hanoi. Chanoich l'nar pidarkoi. Rabbi Yehuda Rav Nechemia Chadoma mishitza v'adesem v'tartim 16 to 22. Chadoma mitamni v'sori adesem arboim 18 to 24. Now, if I ask anyone here to tell me what's pshat and chanoich l'nar pidarkoi, you'd all say, different strokes for different folks, right? Each kid's got to be different, which is true. And I'm not saying that's not the pshat, but Rashi doesn't learn that way. Look at the way Rashi learns. Let's be medayik in Rashi. Chanoich l'na al pi darkoi. Rashi says al pi darkoi. Derech, the way, shekol yomav yeh misnagid boy, the way that all his days he should be noyig. Chanoich lar b'narusai. You should teach him that way. What? When he is young, but meaning the way is the way for all. It's one way. This is the way you should be. Sign. And when should you do that? Chanoich l'nar kedarkoi. The way he's supposed to go, do it when he's a nar. The chinuch should be when they're young. Beizeu narusa Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Nechemia. We have machlokes exactly what nairus is, 16 to 22 or 18 to 24. But again, I'm not saying not. I mean, I've been in chinuch many years, and taka, there's different ways you have to teach a kid.
Wouldn't it be at the younger age?
What? I guess nairus means this is speaking about, this is for sure you begin then. But I guess this is the time that can really comprehend and understand. Obviously, times have changed. Obviously things are a little different. But again, I just find it interesting. Rashi does not learn like the Velt learns. He's saying the derech is one way, and that do it when they're not. Okay. Again, Rashi also says that you can beat a kid up at these ages also, and we know that's not good advice. That's not good advice. After these ages, if you hit a child, you're over the halacha. If you hit a child over a certain age where they could possibly hit you back, you're over the thing of leisitin michshol. Okay, ad heichen chayvan lamed es b'noi Torah. Till what extent? Meaning, what are you supposed to teach him? And we're going to see it means it's a double-edged question. I'm Rav Yehuda Mishmuel kigoyin Zvulun ben Don shalimdoi avi aviv. His grandfather taught him mikra chumash, mishnah mishnayis. The Talmud is Gemara, halachos va'agados. So mashma that Zvulun ben Don, the chiyuv, his grandfather taught him all these things. Meisivei, that you say that what you have to teach him all these things. Lamdu mikra, ein lamdu mishnah. If you teach him chumash, you don't have to teach him mishnah. If you teach him chumash, that's enough. You don't have to teach him mishnah. Rava says mikra zu Torah. What is mikra? It's Torah. So what you're telling me at Heichon, and you're quoting, you have to teach him everything. Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara. You see that what? It's enough just to teach him mikra, chumash. So the Gemara answers Kizvulun ben Don below Kizvulun ben Don. There's an aspect of Zvulun ben Don. It answers the question at Heichon, and not like Zvulun ben Don. Kizvulun ben Don. Shalimdoi avi aviv, like Zvulun ben Don, that a grandfather should teach a child. A grandfather should teach a grandson. But like Zvulun ben Don, the ilu hasan mikra mishnah v'talmud, halach tzvagad, this ilu hacha mikra levad. Good. So in other words, when it says ad heichan Zvulun ben Don, meaning, so what's the chiyuv or that a generation should teach? So a grandfather should teach a child Torah. That's obvious. Ad heichon means until how far. This whole thing. Last night we mentioned in Shir last night that there's that limited Torah. One of the 5 things that you're supposed to do that is to teach your son Torah. So that's ad heichon is going on that. That's upgaret that a father has to teach his son Torah. Saying ad heichon, even a grandfather. I tell you the truth. Grandfathers have it much easier. I can tell you from experience. They don't. You don't have that. You teach your kid Torah. There's your own negias. There's your Harold. It's my show, okay? It's my show, Harold. It's my show. Now, so you teach your grandson Torah, and you don't have any of that. He knows it. He doesn't know. He didn't listen. It doesn't make a difference. You go ahead. It's called Kailus Ibrahim, You teach a kid. Okay, whatever. So I think it's very practical. If you want to teach your grandson Torah, very good. The Avi of me Mechayva is the grandfather of Mechayev. I'll take you off in the car. But Tanya, my son you should teach your sons and not your grandsons. It says, right? Anyone who teaches his son Torah, the Torah considers it. Right. So therefore, the kasher is, how can you tell me that you have to teach your grandson Torah? It's mashma b'nechem v'loy b'nei b'nechem. And why does it say b'nei b'nechem to teach you that But by that you should teach him, like, if you teach your son Torah, you're keeping the Messiah going back. It says now who Shmuel Damakei Tana. Shmuel holds like the following Tana. Tanya, the Maratasam es Benechem, Ein Liel Benechem, Bnei Benechem Yinayin. He holds like this Tana. You have to teach your grandchild Talmud Loimar by Datum Benechel Benecha and came out Talmud Loimar Benechem. What does it say? Benechem? Mashma only Benechem, not grandchildren. No, Benechem v'loy Bnei Sechem. That is a chiyuv to teach Torah to your son and not to your daughter. Not to your daughter, which we recorded yesterday. Amri Yeshua ben Levi. Kolam Lamed is ben Bnei Torah. Anyone who teaches his grandson Torah, Malav a cost of kilo kibla me'ar Sinai. It's mamish of yimakal me'ar Sinai. Shnemar by datim lovenecha uvnei benecha. The samachle yom asher martel Hashem lekach b'chayir. The day you stood in front of Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'chayir, which is Sinai. Okay, so again, the Torah is a beautiful thing. I'm not sure. This again, it depends on. It's giving a schmooze to guys who are grandfathers or will be grandfathers. The most important thing that you can instill in a child is Torah. The most important thing you can instill in a child's Torah. I had I don't know if you know. I had a little bit of Tzagil Banim. I really did. So sometimes you look at these kids, you look like yeah, right. Yeah, well, we're here for you, right? No, I'm good. I'm well. Grandkids, he's good now. I was good until last night. Anyway, so I was good until 8, whatever. Anyway, so it was very rewarding to me that one of my kids said to somebody else. I overheard them say the most important thing my father gave me was how important Torah is. He didn't learn a word with me. Zero. Nothing. What? Your father. Yeah. I'm saying my father, Olav Shalom, it's going to be his yard site in Rosh Hashanah. My father was a hardworking man. He owned a take-home food. He was very hardworking. He would come home, he'd fall asleep. And all of his sons, Baruch Hashem, 2 of them are in Chinuch, were in Chinuch, some retired. And we always learned. And so someone said to me, what? I asked him, what do you do? What does your husband do when he comes home? He's very tired. He works hard. He falls asleep. I said, what does he fall asleep with? He goes, usually the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. I said, my father always fell asleep with a Ramban. I never learned Ramban in his life. I never learned the word in the Ramban with him. I can't say I sat down with my father and learned the Ramban, but I'm telling you, indelibly in my mind is my father falling asleep with a Ramban. That's it, and that's the Messiah. That it's the beauty. Even sitting here, the beauty of your kids, it's a lifetime. As we're going to see from the Gemara, it's Keim Chayenu, it's everything, because other things are not important. Says the Gemara Vayter. Apparently, Yehuda, I need therapy. Yehuda, I'm in a really bad. Yehuda, I'm in a really bad way. Okay, for those people of posterity on this tape who are listening, I'm a rabid Jet fan. Everything was involved my whole few months was involved in a person named Aaron Rodgers. 9/11 happened. And then 9/11 happened, right? He went down, not on the first play, Baruch Hashem, not on the second play, but on the fourth play, never having completed a pass as a New York Jet. His career is over, our season's over, and here I am back learning Torah, Baruch Hashem. Anyway, says nope. Someone said Alan completed more passes. Alan did. Good lines. Same thing. Anyway, can
I tell Fitz to come out?
Huh?
Can I tell Fitz to come out?
Fitz is in a witness protection program because, again, if I ever see him, he's going to meet a few of the Stern gang, literally. Fitz is dead meat. Fitz. Anyway, Rav Chia bar Abba Ashkel Rav Yeshua ben Levi the Shadei Disna Aresha, right? He threw a shmata on his head. The great Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, guys. The Gemara says Yeshua ben Levi walked into Gan Eden, right? He walked into Gan Eden. He fooled the Sutton and went into Gan Eden, right? We had the Gemara. Anyway, so he's taking the kid to the school, and he's the chashivist person in his generation, and he has some shmata on his head. Amalei, my kulehai. So Chia Barab said to Yeshua ben Levi, "What so much?" In other words, Yeshua ben Levi, why don't you go out with you? You know, with a covered the turban. Amalei mizuta my dechsiva datul v'necha v'samach yom she'amat l'fnei shelchem b'chayrev. In other words, I have to get him to yeshiva. It's so important, you know, and therefore, so I'm not dressed in the best way, but covered the way. My head is covered, maybe not with the turban, the prestigious turban of a rav, but nonetheless, I got to get him to yeshiva. We can't from that time and onwards. Rav Chia bar Abba loytoyim umsa. He would not eat umsa. Rashi tells us umsa is like a broiled meat that they would eat for breakfast. Breakfast. Yep, there you go. Loytoyim umsa ad the makre liyanuka, until he would review with the yanuka, loysifa, and add on. He would review and he would add on. Rabbi Rav Huna loytoyim umsa ad the ma'aseh liyanuka midrasha. He wouldn't go ahead and eat something until he brought the kid. He wouldn't eat meat until he brought the kid to the base of medrash. Amrav Safra Mishum Vishua ben Chananya. My dechsiv vishinamtom levonecha. Now it should say vishinamtom with one nun and a yud. Vishinamtom, right? But it says it with an extra nun. Al tikri vishinamtom el vishilashtom. Don't read it as vishinamtom. You should thoroughly learn, but read it as vishilashtom. The speaks out that if it was with the hat that you have to say it 3 times as pashit, but the extra nun vishinamtum would be twice, and the extra nun makes it a 3rd time. So what does that mean? A person should take a 3rd of his life, shlish b'mikra, a 3rd chumash, shlish b'mishnah, a 3rd mishnah, shlish b'talmud, and a 3rd b'd gemara. Fred the gemara miyodei kamachai. You divide that up. How do you know how long you're going to live? Like tzricha liyume. It means divide your days. Look at Rashi. Liyume is yimei hashvua. So you divide it up. You have 2 days for Chumash, 2 days for Mishnah, 2 days for what? For Gemara, and on Shabbos you'll chazu all of them. Okay? So look at Taisvis. Leitzricheli Yumei, Pirish Bekuntris, Yimei HaShabbos, Kloimar, Shnei Yom Mikra, Shnei Yom Mishnah, Shnei Yom Gemara, V'lein Hira, Dimkein Akati Havi Matzi Lemefrich, Miyada Kamachai. In other words, if you're going to go ahead and only learn this particular limud at that point in time, how do you know you may not get to the other one? So you get to a person dies on a Tuesday and they did Chumash on Sunday and Monday. They're like, so in other words, you have to fight to the same problem, just not in years, in days, right? So therefore, but again, it's mashma, that's something that should be shtendig all the time. Not so now let's see. Every day, yashlish. Every day you should go ahead each day and divide into 3rds. Not really. A day again, you have a cheskes chai a little bit, but again, at least you're doing it in a day instead of days.
Sorry,
it's okay. It's I'll make you next Yom Kippur. Al Kain Tikin, not this one, next one. Al Kain Tikin Beseder of Al Kain Tikin Beseder of Amram Goin Kimaisha Anu Noigim Bechol Yoim Kaidim Besuke de Zimra Loimar Mikra u Mishnah v'Gemara. We say, guys, that's why you say that's Ezim Karmin is Mishnayos, and you say Psukim, you say the Akedah. This is the reason that you should be mashlos. But Venutam Pirish, this is what Yankel just said. Shanu Saimchem Ahad Amina Sanhedrin Babel Belula b'Mikra b'Mishnah b'Gemara. The Gemara is Babel Bolo Mikulam. Shas Bavli is Bolo Mikulam. Therefore, by learning Gemara, you go ahead and accomplish. That's what Yankel remembered, that those things. Okay, but again, so it's Kluche Deis. But a person is supposed to have each day. You're supposed to certainly Mavra Sedra, Shnei Mikra Echetagim, Mishnayos. We could always be mechazik a little bit in, and Gemara, which Baruch Hashem we do often for those people that come. Lefikach Nikru Rishonim Seifrim. They called the Rishonim Seifrim. Rashi says this is a statement by itself. Seifrim Kalosh Ashir B'Torah. Right? They would count all the ISIS in the Torah. Look at Taisus, Nikru Seifrim, Pirish B'Kuntros Kedechsiv Mishpachas Seifrim Yoshve Yavitz. Yavitz was the Asniel ben Kenaz. Uyishalmi Mefarish Asu Kol HaTorah Kula Misparos Kegoin Aves Malaches Abayim Chas Achas. They put numbers to mitzvahs. So this Gemara is very, very interesting because it may not always work out. But I figured we're going to spend a little time on it just because it's fascinating. Okay, so now. Vav de Gachain, the Vav in the letter Gachain. Okay, now the pasuk says Kol Hoylech al Gachain v'Kol Hoylech al Arba. So this is in Vayikra Yud Aleph. I think that's Shmini. I'm not sure. Meya? Oh, Meya is not there. Anyway, so anything that goes on, it crawls. Chetzia shel Oisia shel Sefer Torah. It's that point in time. It's in Vayikra. That's half of the oisias of the Torah, the letters. You get the letters in Gachrin, the Vav, that's the halfway point. Darash, and the pasuk that says by Moshe, by the Yom HaMiluyim, they burnt the korban, V'seir chatas, Darash Moshe was looking about. There were 3 chatas and burnt. Chetzin shel tevois, that's half the words. Okay, the next pasuk is Hiskalach v'sanesek, Lo Yigaleach. Okay, that's Shel Psukim. That's half of the Psukim. So you have Gochan's half of the letters. The Rosh Darash is half of the words, and the Skalach is half of the Psukim. That's in the Torah proper. Yichasmenu Chazim Yar is Ayin the Yar is Chetzin Shel Tehillim. The Hu Rachim Yichaperova and Chetzin the Psukim. Okay, now boy Rabbi Yosef, Bob the Gochan Mahagisa. It's part of the first half or the second half. Amalei Nesi Sefer Torah. Let's make a Sefer Torah. The Ninum will count it. They didn't move from there. Rashi Sefer Torah Umanor. Rashi says he doesn't know where this took place. Amalei inu b'ki b'chaseres v'yiseres. They will b'kiyim when you have a vav and when you don't have a vav, right? Anon le b'kiyim. We're not b'kiyim. Boy Rabbi Yosef is v'zgalach mahagisa. The zgalach that you said is half of the psukim, which goes to the first half, the second half. Amalei abaya psukim leisa limni psukim limni b'kinan. Because let's make a Sefer Torah and count Pesukim. They said in Pesukim also we're not experts. Go ahead and take this pasuk and divide it up into 3 parts. Vayom Hashem Moshe, right? Vayom Hashem Moshe, Hinei Anochi Bo Elecha be'av v'anan, ba'avur Yishmael Am be'dabri imach, be'gam b'chayaminu lo'olam b'yagid Moshe Stivrei Am El Hashem. They've divided up to 3 parts. Okay, so let's. I sent out something today. I don't know if I put it on the computer. I sent something out, but I don't think I put it on here. Let's see if I can get it up here. No, this is not it. This is not it. I got it over here. I have it. Okay.
Progress.
Guys, you can see this? Guys, you can see this on the screen? No.
Yes, we see it fine.
Okay. And anyway, so when we tam zen nidre had darosh harishain hu b'seif shura. Since it's the halfway point in the Torah, the words darash. So darash is the end of a line, and dorosh darash is hasheni sarchlias b'tchila shura. It has to be the beginning of the line. Since that's the distinction of that's the distinction we made of the letters of the Torah. So they have to be on 2 separate lines. They have to be on the words of the Torah. On the words of the Torah, 2 separate. They have to be on 2 separate lines, right? Mesech the Seifim test base. Ubir beben yayada shesacha oisia shebetayra. Guys, this is the amount of letters in the Torah. Einenu zugid. They're odds. They don't have an even number. They're odds. The amount of oisias in the Torah, guys, are 304,805. That's an odd number. That's an odd number. Ulechein vav de gachain hu beemsa ve'ena shayach leilakam v'leilakan. The vav, it's in the middle. It's nishtahi and nishtaher, because it's an odd number. Ach sachat tevish b'Torah, the amount of letters in the Torah, not the words in the Torah, the words in the Torah, whose zuge is 79976, and that's 6 is an even number. One of them is shaykh to one of them, because it can't be in the middle, guys. It's got to be. It's an even number. So which one is it part of? To be even, it has to be either here or there. It can't be odd. And the other says geschmack, right? And the second one is going to be to the second one. Let's make a question. The vav is shaykh to one of them. Now, 1 second. If you're telling me it's an odd number, why is that? The cost of the Mishnah of Yaakov, he counted as called Tevis Sheba Torah, all the words of the Torah. It's very far from the middle of the Torah, right? Well, the cost of Sheish Ligrois Hamizbeach is Chetchin Shal Tevis. That not the word Mizbeach, Vakavana Tevis Mizbeach Sheba Pasik Yisoid Hamizbeach VeYikhadsheyu. It's in Vayikra Ches, not Vayikra Yud Aleph. U'ba'avis Torah beer Shemash Mavur Kan Shedorish Dorish Uchatzi HaTorah B'Tevis Hakavana the Tevis Hakfulois Kamei Avram Chayatzaba. In other words, the amount of double letters that you have, that's the Dorish Dorosh is the halfway point of double letters, but it's not the halfway point of the Torah proper. So again, it's very interesting, and it's very interesting. And we're going to see there's a really tremendous chalukei deis. The numbers don't exactly work out. We'll have a shot. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. But Yom Hashem, we divided that up already. Okay. Tan Rabbanan, 3 lines to the bottom. Chameshes alpayim u'shmoina meyas u'shmoinim psukim havi psukim Sefer Torah. You go to a Sefer Torah and you'll have 5,888 psukim. If you look on the side, it says 5,845. So there's a difference in 88 to 45. And there's a sefer called Oitzer HaGoinim, and it quotes Rav Haigain that there was they counted from a sefer in Yerushalayim, that there was a sefer that he heard from the Chacham Rishonim, that the sefer Torah that was in Yerushalayim, the numbers of psukim were different than others. Now, it's the words of the Torah, there's no changing. But the psukim, the way they're broken up, there is. In other words, Messiah and psukim is how to read a pasuk. That you can have machloikis on. The letters of the Torah, not for sure, not. I mean, the words of the Torah is you chasa even a letter or part of a letter. It's puzzle. But this is speaking about what the psukim. Yes, I love Tehillim Shmeina. It's Tehillim has 8 more. Chasa mimenu Divrei Yom Shmeina, and Divrei Yom has 8 less. Tanarabana. Shinantam. She Divrei Torah mechudadim b'picha. Shinantam be shining, fellas. Like very, very sharp. They should be mechudadim b'picha. Shem yishal adam davar. If a person asks you something, al tegam game. Don't go ahead and stammer the time aloi. Elam lach miyad. Say it b'shinantam. Say it with a shavkite right away. Okay, now we bring we bring psukim on this that Torah should be what? It should be sharp. Okay, what does the pasuk say? You should be a baki in the Torah, just as you're a baki knowing that what? That your sister's also to you. You should have the Torah, it should be literally tied on your fingers. This should be written on the luach of your mind, literally your heart. Like the arrows in the hands of a gibor, sharp like a warrior. Kain b'nei hanurim, so too what the talmidim of a person that are called neurim, they're called his sons. You have to teach them Torah until it's what mechudim in their mouths like what, like arrows. V'oimer chatzi gibor shinunim, like the chitzin they're shinunim, they're sharp. V'oimer chitzecha shinunim amim tachtecha yiplu, right? Your arrows are sharp and nations will fall underneath you. And then the pasuk says, Ashri agever, fortunate is the gever, a person has a lot of talmidim, Hashemili as Hashpasle, he goes ahead and fills his quiver with what talmidim. Is that right? Lo yivoshu ki yidabru es oivim b'shar. He'll never be embarrassed because he meets up with his enemies in the gates. Mayas oivim b'shar. Who's the talmidim chachamim? Why are they called enemies in the gates? Rav Chia bar Abba afilu avu b'noi. A Rav talmido, even a father and a son, a Rav and a Talmud. Kishoiskim b'Torah b'shar echad. Nasa koivim zelazeh. They can be fighting with each other. They don't leave there. Achinasu oivim says that they become beloved. Shnemar. The pasuk says ot v'hev, the lashon of ava. Put ot v'hev together. Besufa. Don't read it besufa like the Red Sea. Ela b'seifa in the end. Tanrabana. It says the samtem lashon. Let's break up the word samtom. It should be a sam, an elixir, a drug. Tom, that is what that is full. That it's marapa everything. Shenim shel Torah kasamachayim. Torah is compared to what the elixir of life. Mashal adam shikes benoi. A person hits his son maka gedola. Beniach le'retia al makasai, and he puts on his maka. He puts some type of bandage. V'amalai says, listen, beni kol zaman she'retia azu al makascha. As long as this bandage is on you, echol mashan oscha, eat whatever you want. U'shasay mashan oscha, drink whatever you want. U'rechaitz bein mechamen bein b'tzayin, you could take a shower or bath, hot or cold. Bein atom misyari. Don't worry about anything. The maka is not going to affect you. However, v'matam aviroi, hari v'im atam aviroi. But if you do take it off, hari hi mali nume, then the maka is going to go ahead and become pus filled and all infected. Kacha kodesh baruch hu amalem yisrael b'ni banai barasi yitzhara. I created yitzhara barasi la Torah tavlin, and they refer to it right as a tavlin. Mata oiskim b'Torah inatam nisan b'yadai. You won't be given over to the yitzhara if you learn shnemar. But it says by a Kodesh Baruch Hu, when he warns Kayin, if the Kayim's carbon is not accepted and Kayin's bent out of shape, Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Aloim Seitif, if you'll be Seitif, you'll be Oisir K'Torah, that's called Toiv. Haloim Toiv, Im Seitif, Kila Kachov Nasat Lehem, Seis, then you'll be uplifted. Vim Einatam Oiskim K'Torah, if you're not Oisir K'Torah, Atanis Rabiyada, you'll be given over to the Yetzer Hara. Shnemar, La Pesach Chatas Roivets, to the opening of your grave is your Aveira. Loyoid El Shekol Masor Matan, right, and the Yetzer Hara, all his job is to be busy with you. It's going to go ahead and adhere. But if you want, you have the koyach ata u'moshel boy. Shnemar ata timshel boy, you can overcome him. So again, Kayin, Kodesh Baruch Hu speaks to Kayin like Rachel Bitcha Katana, saying, "Listen, you know what? You can do it." Tan Rabbanan, Kashi Yetzer Hara shafilu Yitzrei Karara. Yetzer Hara is so bad, even the Kodesh Baruch Hu calls it bad. Shnemar ki Yetzer Leivadam Rab Minurav. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, but he's not going to destroy the world. Ki Yetzer Leivadam Rab Minurav. Amar Yitzchak Yitzer Shalodim Mischadish Lo B'Chol Yom. The Yetzer Hara is Mechadish Way. Shnemar Rak Ra Kol Hayom. V'Amar Shim Ben Levi Yitzer Shalodim Miskaber Lo B'Chol Yom. U'Mevakesh Lamisay. Shnemar Tzeifer Rosh LeTzadik looks to the Tzadik. U'Mevakesh Lamisay. V'Molei Kodesh Baruch Hu Meiser. Kodesh Baruch Hu helps him. Ein Yachaloi Shnemar. You'll be able to come him. Elokim Lo Yazven B'Yadei. Hashem won't forsake him to your hands. My son Simcha is a Rebbe. He shared with me a great mashal. I wrote this down. I like the mashal very much. He goes, Yetzer Hara is like YouTube. You watch a few videos and they begin to send you the types that you might be interested in, right? So to the Yetzer Hara, once he sees what he gets you, he'll continue to send you what gets you. Right? It's a good mashal. No? Like Yetzer Hara, the YouTube. Once you watch it, they send you the same ones, right? Right. So, Tana Adveri Vishmal Bini and Paga B'Cham Nuvel Zeh. If you meet up with the Yetzer Hara, Mashchei LeBeis HaMedrash, step to the Beis HaMedrash. In Evan, who? If he's hard like Evan, then you know what the Torah will do? Nimuchach. Go ahead, it'll melt it. Vim Kabazel, who? And if he's strong like Basil, despite this, then he'll be smashed apart. Shnemar Alekoi Devarai Keish Num Hashem Ukepatish Yifaitze Sela. It's like an Eish Torah, it's like an Eish, it's like a hammer, right? Evan who nimuach shenemar hoy called samei l'chulamayim. Anyone's thirsty, go to water. And mayim l'toira. Vayim ravonim shochu mayim. Avonim could go ahead and melt away mayim. Lasiya isha. We said a person should get married. Minallah. And how do you know he's supposed to marry off your son? It says kachu nashim v'lidu banim u'banois. Take wives and you have children. Ukachu lebnechem nashim, and you should take for your sons wives. Es b'noisechem tenula nashim, and for your daughters you should take husbands. says no bishlema benoi biyadai. Bishlema benoi, it's your hand to take a wife. Ela bitoi biyadai, l'chayre takes it's not in your daughter's hands to get married, someone has to marry her. So hachi kamalhu. This is what the Navi is telling Klal Yisrael. Nitin lo midi, the father should give the girl an dunya ulavaisha to dress her up and and give her money. Kihechi de kiftzinu like inshi, that people should go ahead, make it as much attractive as possible to find a suitor. Limday this, we said it's a mitzvah to teach your son a trade. Minalon amar chizkiya damakra rei chayim im isha shera hafta. You see life with the woman that you love. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mukish, that we said that chayim is mukish to an isha. Im isha memamishi, right? Then kishem shechayim lasiya isha kachayim l'lam l'umnis. Ve'im toirahi, and if isha means Torah, then what? Kishem shechayim l'um Torah kachayim l'um umnis. And so you know that the chayim is compared to an isha. An isha could be Torah, an isha be an isha. So either one, if you make a hekesh, you have to go ahead. A person's chiyuv is to go ahead and teach his son Torah. A person's chiyuv is to go ahead and marry off his son. Or even to teach him to swim. My time They give him a chance, that he should be able to live. He should be in a sakana. We said the Mishnah said, if you teach your son, it's like the Brisa said, it's like teaching him how to rob. Furthermore, just because you didn't teach him numbers, you teach him to rob. So if he doesn't have a way to make a living, okay, my binai, what's the difference between Yehuda? What's he adding in the words of the Tanakama? Tanakama says that you have to teach him something, a trade, right? And Yehuda says it's like teaching him the stories. What's nafkamina? It could be nayu de agmei iska. If you went ahead and you teach him a bit, you taught him how to do business. So if you look at Rashi says it could be nayu. What's the difference between the group? Says Rashi. My kamois of Rabbi Yehuda iska in lamdu schayra, like if you teach him business, the Tanakama hari lamdu chayim, you gave him life. You don't have to teach him a fach. If you teach him how to be noig in business, it's okay. However, Rabbi Yehuda the asi la taima the umnis dafka, he wants you a fach. The kama pomim she'ein loy b'malase schayra v'oimid u'malastem. In other words, if you teach business, you have to be a peddler. You have to have merchandise to peddle. What happens if you don't have that merchandise? So at Bishlam, you taught him a fach. You could always go ahead and use that the fach. How do you touch a fach? The trade, right? You teach him to do a trade. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, business is not good enough. According to Kama, you be yaitzu with business. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you won't be yaitzu with business. Kol mitzvah is aval ben. We said any mitzvah that what aval ben. Now we said it means that a son has to do to a father. That's how we learned it. But in the half mean it's a father to a son. My kol mitzvah is aval ben. Ilay kol mitzvah is the mechayev aval mevel lebrei. Nashim chayavos v'tanya av chayav b'bnoi l'moylev v'taislei avavin imoyloi. So Rabbi Yehuda achi kama kol mitzvah av hamutelis ala ben lasos l'avim. These are the mitzvahs that what a son has to do to a father. Both men and women are chayav. And in Pashat, we're dealing with the mitzvahs of kibbud avim. Taninu l'had tan rabbanon ish ein li ela ish isha minayin. How do you know she's mechuyev in mad and years of avim? Kishoimer tira'u solution of rabbim harikan shnayim and came matam lema ish. Ish sipik b'yad elasei. So a person will always be able to mechaber his father, but a woman isha ain't sipik b'yad elasei. So once she gets married, she's in the rishus of her husband, and he takes precedence over a previous relationship with a parent. She has to listen to her husband. They should rishus acherim b'leha, the rishus of other people on her. Amar Avidi barav and Amar Rav, right? Niskarsha shnehem. Then they're both equal. Once it's skarsha or in this almula, then from a baila, then the ish for isha, they will be equal because she's not in the jurisdiction of another person. Okay, we have two psukim. Nema kavidas avicha vesimecha. The nema kavidas Hashem me'hoinecha. It says be mechabed your father and your mother, and it says go ahead kavidas Hashem me'hoinecha. Me'hoinecha means with your nechasim, with your possessions. Hishva kosev kibud aveim l'chibud amakom. The Torah equates kibud aveim to kavod HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It says kavidas avicha kavidas es Hashem me'hoinecha. Nema ish imoy v'avitiro. Nema es Hashem elkecha tira. So v'oisei tavoid. Hishra kosev maris of aim lemaris lamakan. So now you have kivud of aim and maris of aim. There's a kivud of aim and maris of aim. It's kivud of aim is most like mitzvahs asay. You go ahead. You put on his clothing. You pour him a drink. You bring him food. You bring his clothing to the cleaner. That's asay. What we say ish to rows. Don't sit in his place. Don't contradict him. That would be the lashon of yira. That's the difference between kivud of aim and yiras of aim. So Nema Mekalul Aviv Imai, Mois Yumas, Loyalenu, some Schultz curses his father, his mother, he dies. Venema Ish He Kalu Elokov, Venasachetoi. So now we go ahead, we mashva the mashva birchas of the birchas amakim, that they both get skila. They both get skila for both. Avol behakol, when it comes to the issur of hitting, Vadai Yefshe. There you can't equate the two. So we can equate Linyan Kavid, Kadosh Baruch Hu, apparent to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Linyan Yero, we can equate apparent to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Linyan Klala, Birchas, we can equate the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Linyan Hakah, obviously we can't because it's not possible. Vadai Yefshe, V'cheina V'din, right? Shloshtan. It makes sense to go ahead, what? And go ahead and equate a Kadosh Baruch Hu to appearance of Shloshtan, Shutfin Ba'adam, because as I mentioned, they're all Shutfin Ba'adam. Shlosh, again, more in Nida, right? If you look at the last Rashi on the page, guys, Shlosh Shutfin Hain, the Farish Bebraisa B'Mesech Nida, Ish Masriya Lubin, the man gives the white part, Shaboy, Isha Mazras Oidam, Shaboy, the red part, because Baruch Hu Nafeach by Neshama, Umara Ayin, Ushmias Oizen B'Dibur. He gives the ability to see, sight, and the ability to hear, the dibur, and the ability what to speak. The ability to speak. So these are okay. That is a good place to stop. Okay. Have a good evening.